Okay, so you know that feeling right when you just walk into a room and you just gay N-O-W, like how to start a great conversation?
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
me neither.
Nope.
But what if we could change that?
Yeah.
What if there were like actual techniques to boost your charisma, and help you connect with like anyone?
Right.
Well, get this, there are.
There are.
We are diving deep into LEIL Lowndes' book, How to Talk to Anyone.
Yes.
Think of it as your cheat sheet to becoming like a master communicator.
I love this book. What I think is so fascinating about how Lowndes approaches this is she brings science to the art of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You know how they say you never get a second chance to make a first impression?
It's so true.
Well, she backs that up with research showing people judge us in a flash, like literally seconds.
Wow.
It's all about nonverbal cues, like how we look, how we sound, even before we utter a word.
Yeah, it's true. It's like we're all secretly sizing each other up,
Yes.
deciding if someone's like trustworthy or interesting before they even say hello. So how do we hack this system? What are some of Lowndes' secrets?
Okay, so she has this great technique called the flooding smile.
Okay.
Instead of that quick automatic grin, she suggests imagining your smile slowly spreading across your face,
Hmm.
like a sunrise.
Oh.
It sounds simple, but it makes you appear more genuine, more approachable.
Oh, I love that. I can just picture someone trying it out at like a networking event.
Right.
Instead of like a forced smile, it's this warm, genuine expression that just like draws you in.
Exactly. And then there's sticky eyes, which isn't about staring someone down, but holding eye contact a beat longer than usual, especially when they're finishing their thought.
Right.
It conveys this subtle, I'm hanging on your every word vibe.
Okay, but isn't there a fine line between sticky eyes and that like intense, almost creepy stare?
Right. Lowndes calls that epoxy eyes,
Oh no.
the kind bosses and investigators use.
Yeah.
Definitely not the vibe we're going for in most social situations. But get this, sticky eyes actually releases a hormone that mimics attraction.
What?
Subtle, right. Especially effective for men talking to women. Lowndes points out, but again, only if there's already a spark.
No kidding. So we're talking science-backed flirting tips now.
Huh?
This just got interesting. But before we start practicing our sticky eyes on like unsuspecting strangers, what about our body language?
Yeah.
Like how we're actually holding ourselves?
Yeah, Lowndes has us covered there too. She has this brilliant visualization technique called hang by your teeth.
Okay.
Imagine an invisible circus bit hanging from a doorway. As you walk through, you gently bite down on it.
Wait, seriously. I'm picturing this and it's hilarious, but also kind of genius.
It is, and it instantly improves your posture, making you look and feel more confident.
Because who doesn't want to walk into a room looking like they own the place?
Yeah.
But even with the best posture and a flooding smile, we eventually have to, talk.
Right.
And that's where small talk comes in, which, let's be honest, can be terrifying for some of us.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir. Even LEIL Lowndes, a communication expert, talks about feeling intimidated by a group of menzons.
Really?
She was fascinated by their conversations, but still felt awkward breaking in. It's a good reminder that everyone, even brilliant minds, can struggle with small talk.
Wow.
It's about finding common ground and putting people at ease.
I needed to hear that.
Uh-huh.
So, how do we become small talk ninjas? What are some of Lowndes' strategies for those initial interactions?
One that really resonated with me is make a mood match.
Okay.
Instead of launching into your own agenda, mirror the other person's energy and pace. If they're speaking rapidly and excitedly, match their tempo. If they're more laid back, adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right rhythm before jumping into the dance.
Oh, I love that analogy. But give us a real-world example. How does mood matching actually play out in a conversation?
Okay, imagine a colleague is telling you about their chaotic morning. Their voice is high-pitched and frantic. You wouldn't respond with a relaxed, oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
You'd match their energy. Maybe you say, wow, that sounds insane. What happened next?
Right.
It shows you're present and empathetic.
That's such a good point. It's like you're saying, I hear you, I'm with you, even before you get to the actual content of the conversation.
It's not always about what you say,
Yeah.
but how you say it.
Right.
Lowndes talks about this amazing linguist, Samuel Hayakawa, who used simple but heartfelt small talk to disarm prejudice during World War II.
Yeah.
A time when tensions were high, he would openly discuss his Japanese heritage, connecting with people on a human level.
Wow.
It's a powerful reminder that sincerity can be incredibly disarming.
Wow, that's such a powerful example of how, even in difficult times, like genuine connection can cut through so much.
Yeah,
But okay, we've aced the flooding smile, we're mood matching, like pros.
right,
Now, what do we actually talk about?
right.
Give us some of Lowndes' best conversation starters.
Okay. One of my favorites is always wear a what's it, something unusual,
Right.
like a unique piece of jewelry or a book with an intriguing title.
Uh-huh.
It's an instant conversation piece.
Right.
People will ask about it, giving you a natural starting point.
Okay, that is genius. I'm already scanning my wardrobe for potential what's-its. What else?
Okay, for parties, there's who's that?
Who's
You
that?
spot someone interesting,
Yeah.
but have no idea how to approach them.
Yeah.
Ask the host for a little intel,
Oh.
their job, hobbies, anything to spark a conversation.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So much better than awkwardly lurking with a glass of wine, hoping for divine intervention. Okay, this next one sounds a little risky.
Uh-huh.
Tell me more about eavesdrop in.
It definitely requires finesse. Basically, you listen for a relevant snippet of conversation from a group you'd like to join,
Yeah.
then use it as a subtle way to interject yourself.
Hmm.
For example, I couldn't help but overhear you talking about, and I have to chime in because
Okay, yeah, that takes some serious confidence.
this it does.
That could go either way, a smooth entry or a social fumble. But I get it. Sometimes you gotta take a chance.
Yeah,
But okay, let's say we've broken the ice. The small talk is flowing.
right.
How do we keep the conversation going? How do we move beyond the superficial and really connect?
Lowndes talks about becoming a conversational detective,
Ooh.
looking for clues about what truly engages the other person.
Okay.
One technique is never the naked city.
Okay.
Instead of one-word answers to questions like, where are you from?
Uh-huh.
Have an interesting fact or anecdote ready.
Right.
It makes you more memorable.
So instead of saying, I'm from Ohio,
Yeah,
you'd say, I'm from Ohio, where they have this incredible festival celebrating. What is it about Ohio? Just kidding. You get the idea.
exactly. You're painting a picture, creating intrigue.
Right.
Even Lowndes admits she used to draw a blank when asked about her hometown, Columbus.
Really?
She realized that even seemingly ordinary places have fascinating stories if you dig a little deeper.
It's so true. Sometimes we take our own lives and experiences for granted,
Yeah,
but everyone has a story to tell, right?
everyone does.
So how do we unearth those hidden gems in others?
Lowndes suggests becoming a word detective.
Okay.
Pay close attention to the other person's language.
Yay.
Unusual words or phrases.
Yeah.
Those are clues to their passions, their unique perspectives.
Yeah.
Imagine you're piecing together a puzzle one word at a time.
So if someone uses the word serendipitous to
Yeah.
describe like a chance encounter,
Uh-huh.
instead of just nodding along, I might say, I love that word. What was it about that encounter that felt so serendipitous?
Exactly. You're not just listening. You're showing a genuine interest in their inner world.
It's like you're saying, I see you, I hear you, and I want to understand you better,
Yes,
which is incredibly powerful.
it is.
And it brings us to one of my favorite Lowndes techniques, the swiveling spotlight.
Yes.
It's about keeping the focus on the other person,
Yeah.
making them feel like the most interesting person in the room.
And who doesn't love to talk about themselves?
It's so true. When someone makes you feel heard and valued, it creates an instant connection.
Absolutely.
So how do we become masters of the swiveling spotlight?
Lowndes suggests asking open-ended questions that encourage people to share their stories and experiences.
Hmm.
Instead of, do you like to travel?
Yeah.
Ask, what's the most memorable trip you've ever taken and why?
It's like opening a door and inviting them to share their world with you.
Yes.
And once they start talking, how do we keep that spotlight shining bright?
One way is with parroting, which sounds simple, but it's incredibly effective.
Okay.
You simply repeat key phrases back to the speaker,
Right.
showing you're actively listening and encouraging them to elaborate.
Okay, I need to hear this in action. Give
Yeah.
me an example.
Lowndes tells this funny story about entertaining a taxi driver for an entire ride using only parroting.
What?
The driver would complain about traffic.
Yeah.
She'd respond, traffic's been rough. That would be all it took for him to launch into a story about his worst traffic nightmare.
That's hilarious. It proves you don't need to be a brilliant conversationalist. You just need to be a good listener.
Right?
And sometimes a little parroting is all it takes to unlock someone's life story.
That's a great way to put it.
What are some other swiveling spotlight strategies?
Another one is encore.
Okay.
Encourage people to share their favorite stories by requesting an encore. For example, Oh, John, you have to tell everyone about the time you...
Right.
It's flattering, keeps the conversation lively, and shows you're genuinely interested.
It's like saying, you're fascinating, tell me more.
Exactly.
But let's be real, what happens when the conversation shifts to something we know nothing about? Like
Yeah.
suddenly everyone's discussing cryptocurrency and you're like, is that a type of pasta?
Yes. Lowndes has some great tips for those moments, too.
Okay, good.
One is scramble therapy, stepping outside your comfort zone and trying new things.
So instead of just reading about fly fishing, you actually go fly fishing.
Exactly. It's about expanding your world and your ability to connect with people from different walks of life. Lowndes uses her own scuba diving experience as an example.
Okay.
She describes its incredible dive where she felt like she had entered a whole new world, a new tribe with its own language and customs. That firsthand experience allowed her to connect with other divers on a much deeper level.
That's so inspiring. It makes me want to try something completely out of my comfort zone.
Mm.
But for those of us who can't just jet off on a scuba diving adventure every week, what are some other ways to feel like an insider even when we're not?
Lowndes suggests learn a little gobbledygook.
Okay.
Pick up a few key phrases of professional jargon from different fields. You don't need to be an expert, but knowing a little lingo can make you seem more knowledgeable and approachable.
So, like, before going to a dinner party with a lot of architects,
Right.
you might ask your architect friend to teach you a few architectural terms.
Precisely. Even just knowing the difference between brutalist and Bauhaus, or understanding what fenestration means, can make a difference.
Yeah.
You're not pretending to be an architect, you're just demonstrating an interest in their world.
It's like saying, hey, I'm curious about what you do, and I'm willing to put in a little effort to understand your world a bit better. I love that. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something really important. How to go beyond those surface-level interactions and build truly genuine bonds. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we all crave, those authentic connections that make us feel seen, heard, and understood?
Absolutely. And this is where Lowndes' techniques go beyond just conversation skills and delve into the realm of human psychology. She introduces this fascinating concept called mirroring,
Okay.
which is all about subtly matching your behavior and language to the other person's to create a sense of rapport.
So it's like that saying, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but we're doing it subconsciously without even realizing it? I'm hooked. Tell me more.
Well, one technique is echoing, which we touched on earlier.
Right.
Where you repeat keywords or phrases back to someone, it creates this subconscious sense of being on the same wavelength.
Oh.
Then there's anatomically correct empathizers,
Okay.
which sounds complicated, but
Yeah.
it's actually pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
It's about paying attention to the other person's preferred sensory language.
Okay, hold on. Anatomically correct empathizers. You're going to have to break that down for us.
Right.
How do we figure out someone's sensory language, and why does it even matter?
It's all about how people describe their experiences. Visual people use words like see, look, clear, bright. Auditory people say things like hear, sound, resonate, tune in. Kinesthetic people talk about feel, touch, grasp, gut feeling.
Okay.
Once you've identified their dominant sense,
Okay.
you can tailor your responses to match.
So if someone says, I see what you mean, they're likely a visual person.
Right.
And you might respond with, yes, I think that's crystal clear, isn't it?
Exactly. You're speaking their language, which deepens that sense of understanding and connection.
Mm-hmm.
Lowndes also introduces this intriguing technique called the premature we. It's about using we language early on in a conversation to create that sense of intimacy and shared experience.
So instead of asking, do you like to travel?
Yeah.
You might say, we should totally plan a trip together sometime. Where do you think we should go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're skipping those initial stages of small talk and jumping right into a sense of shared future,
Right.
shared goals, shared experiences. It can be surprisingly effective in establishing a connection.
It's like you're sending this message of, we're in this together, we're on the same team. I love it. And speaking of shared experiences, Lowndes also talks about instant history. What is that all about?
Instant history is about finding a special moment that you shared with someone, even if you just met, and turning into a private joke or reference.
So even if you've only been talking for 5 minutes, it's like you have this shared history.
Exactly.
This little inside joke that bonds you together.
Yes, maybe you both laughed at the same thing or had a similar reaction to something someone said. By
Yeah.
referencing that moment later, you're creating a sense of connection, a sense of we're in on this together.
You know what I love about LEIL Lowndes' approach is that it's not just about memorizing a bunch of tricks or techniques. It's about shifting your mindset,
Right.
approaching conversations with genuine curiosity and a desire to connect. It's about making people feel seen and heard. And I think that's a message that resonates deeply with all of us, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And the best part is you don't have to overhaul your entire personality to make these techniques work.
Hmm.
Even small changes can have a big impact.
Right.
Think about one or two techniques that resonated with you today
Yeah.
and try them out in your next conversation. You might be surprised by the results.
That's such a great takeaway. Start small, experiment, and most importantly, have fun with it. And if you want to unlock all 92 of Leo Lowndes' brilliant techniques, we highly recommend checking out her book, How to Talk to Anyone. It's a game changer.
It really is. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the art of conversation, be sure to subscribe to the deep dive for more insightful explorations of the world's most fascinating books and ideas. Until next time.